It doesn't matter if you're dealing with some mild depression, or maybe you're struggling with some more moderate depression, or maybe you're even facing some more severe depression. That regardless of where your depression is at, that often when we are struggling, there are things that we do or don't do that can really make things worse. And now we're not intentionally doing them to make it worse. Oftentimes they're habits, or they're just things that we've picked up, or they're just subconscious things that we're doing that can actually make things worse for us. So we're going to talk about the 3 big ones that most of us do when we're struggling with depression. And we're going to talk about what we can do to start turning some of these ones around. If you are new to me, and this is the first time we're connecting, my name is Julia Christina, and I'm a registered therapist, researcher, and online course creator. And I have a master's degree in counseling psychology, and I work to help men and women get through the crap that is holding them back so they can like themselves and their lives more every day. And depression is one of those big, crappy things that really get in the way of us liking ourselves and our lives. So let's talk about this one. Let's talk about some of the things that we do to ourselves, some of the things that we're doing when we're struggling with depression. And the first one, and this is probably the biggest one and one of the most harmful ones, is that when we're struggling, when we're suffering, when we're dealing with this big black cloud of depression that's around us, that we beat ourselves up, we criticize ourselves, and we judge ourselves for struggling in the first place. So here's my depression. Here's what's going on with me. I'm really struggling and having a hard time. And now I'm telling myself that I'm weak, that I'm pathetic, that I'm a loser, that I'm no good, that I suck, whatever it is, that we beat ourselves up and we get mad at ourselves for feeling it. As if somewhere in our minds we think that we can shame ourselves into feeling better, that maybe if I'm mean enough to myself, then I'll snap out of it and all of a sudden be happy. That how does that make sense? That being mean to myself for suffering and struggling is actually going to make things better. But we do that, and we really need to get a handle on this one. We need to have some self-compassion. We need to be able to say to ourselves, you know what? Whether or not it's right or wrong or good or bad or healthy or unhealthy or serving or unserving, this is what's happening. I'm struggling right now. I'm going through this right now. And beating myself up for it is probably not going to be helping get me to the other side. It's actually just making things a lot worse. So creating a little bit of space and compassion and grace for myself to say, this is what I'm struggling with right now. This is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm dealing with. The next one is that often we use our feelings of depression as a reason to not do anything. That we tell ourselves, I don't feel like doing it, so I'm not going to do it. And that sometimes, as research shows, that doing things, even if we don't feel like doing it, doing things that typically we would enjoy or that we used to enjoy, that used to make us happy before we were struggling with depression, that we still need to get up and we need to get out and we need to do those things. Now, I'm allowed to tell you this because I'm a therapist, but other people are not allowed to tell you this. Other people are not allowed to say to you, just get up and get out of bed and just go out and do it, because that's probably just going to make you feel worse to have friends and family telling you it's that easy. I know that it's not that easy, and I'm not coming to you trying to be bossy or judgmental and say you just need to go do it. But the thing is that chances are we may not feel happy and blissful and joyful if we get out of bed, or if we get out of our house, or we get going or get off the couch and go and do things that used to bring us joy, even if they're not bringing us that joy, even if they're not having the same effect on us that they used to, chances are it's not going to make it worse. And sitting at home, staying in bed, sitting on the couch, not doing anything, that is going to make us feel worse. That's going to make our depression worse. That's going to make us more angry and frustrated and discouraged with ourselves. So giving ourselves an opportunity to get out of our comfort zone, even if I don't feel like it, getting out and doing it anyways. Because I might not be feeling all this joy and happiness I used to feel when doing those things, but at least at the end of the day, I'll be able to say to myself, Good for me for trying. Good for me for doing something. Good for me for getting up and doing it even though I didn't feel like it. And then the next one is a little bit of the opposite to that one, and that can be trying to do too much. So finding that balance. It's not about going from 0 to 100 and trying to take on and do everything that we could do before we were struggling with depression. So it's not about trying to do it all. It's about trying to do something or some things or one thing, but not trying to do it all. Because if we try and do it all, if we try to show up in our lives and in our days doing everything that we could before we were struggling, we are actually going to get totally worn out, totally exhausted, feel really discouraged and depleted and almost beaten down by the end of the day if we try to do too much. So taking things in stride, taking things one step at a time, pacing ourselves and allowing ourselves to do less, but not do nothing. To end the day feeling good about myself because I did something and I didn't let the depression win and convince me to not do anything, but I also didn't try to pretend like everything's fine and I can do what I used to do. That I'm listening to myself, but that I'm also respecting myself and I'm also taking care of myself. And so what does it really mean to take care of myself? Taking care of myself doesn't mean staying in bed day in and day out or sitting in front of the couch and filling my mouth with Cheetos or ding dongs or whatever it is day in and day out for days on end just because I don't feel like getting up or doing anything. So depression is not an easy one. This is not one that we can just take lightly, that we can't just get over it, that we can't just decide that we're going to feel great and then all of a sudden feel great, that it's complex, that it's complicated, that it's deep, that there's a lot going on with us when we're struggling with depression, but also knowing that there are some things that we can be doing, some small things that we can be doing that over time will have an impact on our mental health, on our depression. Another thing that can be really helpful is mindfulness. And I have some videos about mindfulness. I also have a free 10-minute guided mindfulness exercise that I'm going to put the link to. And just learning really how to sit with ourselves, how to pay attention to ourselves without all this judgment, without all this criticism, without always getting ourselves all worked up about what we're not doing or what we are doing or what we are feeling, what we aren't feeling, or what we should be doing or shouldn't be doing, and just letting ourselves sometimes just be human beings, not always human doings, or not always humans doing it perfects. So you can grab that and make sure too, if you haven't already, please do like this one, subscribe if you're new so we can stay connected, and share this one out. Share this one out to your people, and let's get the word out a little bit about this, about the things that we can be doing, because there are a lot of us that are struggling to greater or lesser extents and at different times with depression. Thanks so much for being here. Take good care.